All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to First Read Fantasy. I will fix my camera. That looks a little better. Hope you guys are having a great week, getting ready for 4th of July weekend. For the umpteenth time, me and Ernie are coming at you with a best ball draft. Promise, more content's on the way. Actually, we have some pre-recorded content that's going to get done tonight. It's going to go out. Some shorts have been uploaded. So, point being, First Read Fantasy, go there on YouTube, hit the like button to this video, hit the subscribe button, most importantly, and the old bell icon. Be notified when we go live and then absorb all this content as we get ready for the fantasy football season. So today, like I said, going to be doing a best ball draft. It's going to be a super flex. We'll let you know when we're counting down to join in case you want to get in on the fun. For now, my name is Michael Hopp. You can follow me on X at the FF Realist. I'm joined by Mr. Fantasy Football Anonymous. This one I'm not going to say his first name, even though I'll say it during the show. But he can be followed at Fantasy Anon with a Y. Again, that's just most comfortable for me. That's what I'm doing. So
I just want to see how you do it every time. I'm not going to.
Yeah. I always think about it just before I say it, and then I always pull back the reins.
No, you're good. I used to say a Fantasy Anani, but then you guys say Anon with the Y.
That's what you said. Yeah. All right. So maybe
I just think it's easier, but I don't give a crap, man. I'm just happy to be here, do a best ball draft with my boy, talk a little ball. Yeah, man. Let's kick some butt.
Got the old American flag back there.
I love it.
Love it. Getting a little festive.
Yeah, man. I wish, you know what? Now I wish while I draft, next time we draft, I'm going to have an American flag behind me.
What's up, Jorge?
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions during the draft, any critiques, even any fantasy football questions, just fire it away. But all right. So let's look here. Yo, NFL. And let's get over to where's my puppy butt super flex. I'm going to be sad when this guy's gone.
Yeah.
All right. So let me know when you're ready. And then we'll do the old countdown.
We only got 20 seconds.
Yeah, I know.
Options. Thank God.
I've noticed the 30 seconds are like no longer there.
All they had to do was just make a 25-second option.
You said that. Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah. It's perfect.
It is.
Well, because that 10 seconds is crucial. So if I can get 5 more seconds instead, I'll sign up for
compromise.
That's fine.
Yep.
Yeah. Middle ground.
All right, brother. I'm ready on your countdown.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Bang. 4 more to start.
4 more to start. All right. There you go. All right. So we are ready. We're going to have the draft board up here. You can follow along. Again, ask any questions you want. Critique me. We'll see what kind of method I go with here. I've been tackling these different each and every draft. That's why these are fun to do. I know you got to put your own money in there, so maybe you might not have the funds to do so. But if you can, I always like doing this more than actual mocks because I feel once somebody hits a deposit button, they are invested in their draft. So the likelihood of you getting somebody who's going to get auto drafted, 37,000 times, that's not going to happen in one of these best ball drafts. It's surprising when it does. I think it's always a great barometer to see how people feel. And I know some people say, hey, redraft is different than best ball, but you still get a little perspective of what somebody's thinking. Ernie, man, there you go. I said your name. Are you big on these best ball drafts in terms of that kind of analysis? I know obviously you love doing these, but do you kind of have that same sort of sentiment?
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, again, all of these fantasy, variations, they're all going to overlap in a way. And I think there's a lot of relations to best ball. Like, it's like, yeah, like, all right, there's like the guy, Dante Thornton. I've been talking up to you and Pete. Like, all right, like, that's somebody I would consider like a best ball target because you get him in the end of, the draft. He's a deep threat guy. So you're hoping that you get 2-3 weeks of him catching a bomb and, that you get good production out of him. But even like with redraft, I am like all of my takes, like players that I'm high on that I think are going to have a good season. I'm taking in best ball. So, they to me they really do go hand in hand. Just later in the draft, then strategy kind of changes because it's like your outlook with Josh Palmer, which I like. You're not like you're not, it's not redraft where you have to start him every week. You're just like, okay, hopefully I get 4 spike weeks
Sure.
from him and Josh because he's with the best quarterback
And
or
at
one
that
of the best in the
cost,
NFL, right?
that's what you need in
So,
best ball. It's fine.
exactly. So, but other than that, man, like early on, like most of my drafts, dude, it's like going hand in hand with redraft.
Yeah, I mean, Ron is asking here, and by the way, I don't know if you noticed this, our draft did kick off, and interestingly enough, I'm 11 and you're 12, so there's going to be some sniping going on there, so that should be fun.
No.
But he did ask, do you let the draft come to you? And I mean, I do enough of these where I kind of just have a general idea. Like if I'm 11 or 12, I kind of get a good idea of the players I'm going to be looking at.
Right.
Really, the big decision here, and as we're going here, we're a couple picks in here. We've only seen one wide receiver go off the board, Jamar Chase, no running backs, because again, it's super flex. So to me, in my head, I'm gambling. Do I want to take some big name guys at skill positions and then roll the dice on quarterback, which I have done before? Or if I want to dig in and just get my quarterbacks and be safe. Hey, Jamie, how you doing?
Jamie, my dog.
Yeah. So I am now up in 2 picks. We have seen some other players that are not quarterbacks go off the board since I started talking. Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. So we did see a run of skill position players go off the board. I'm going to follow suit. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take CD Lamb.
Wow, you put me in a tricky spot here, sir. I'm going to then.
Yes.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the GOAT of the league right now and Bo Nix.
Oh, so you're going with quarterback right away.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to try to overpower quarterback.
Well, I'm going to roll the dice here. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go
back.
CD Lamb.
Mike, I have a feeling Joe Flacco is in your future. I don't know why.
Yeah. Death, taxes, and Joe Flacco is my third QB.
I heard the craziest.
God help me if the Browns don't start him out of the game.
Dude, hold on. I have some intel for you then. Handcuff him with, and this is crazy again.
No.
I know where
you're going, I think.
You have to do it. Because what if he does start? Dude.
No.
He didn't look that bad versus Philly in the game that he had a.
Are you saying Kenny Pickett? Are you telling me I gotta?
Dude, I'm just going off of the reports.
and I'm telling you, I'm just going off of my own preference and telling you no.
No, I get that, but again, no means no. Like, look, we all thought Baker Mayfield sucked at one point in his career. I am not saying.
I actually was a believer, but Anthony shoved my face in it as much as he possibly could.
Well, I
God
was
rest his soul. But,
the reason why I'm such a big Baker fan, and that's who I was gonna take if you didn't leave me Mahomes there. I was gonna go Baker Bo, but oh,
that sounds crazy. I would have rather have had Baker over Mahomes in a best ball format. Like I have all the respect in the world for Baker, for Pat Mahomes. He's best quarterback in the league, and this is always controversial. He's the only guy that I'll say is elite in terms of NFL. But in terms of fantasy football, best ball, I think I would have gotten Baker over Mahomes.
You know what, man? I don't know why. I just, again, and now the reason why I was saying before, like why I like Baker now is because I was a huge Baker hater. So I love when a player proves me wrong. Because now it's like, all right, man, like hell
it's very noble of you to be able to
no. I mean, dude, I'll wear it when I'm wrong, man. And I thought he had an amazing situation in Cleveland and he was dog shit. And I'm like, all right, so he's never going to be good because he wasn't good in a good situation. And now, man, maturity did him good. Steve
said turn up the channel because Ernie said to handcuff Joe Flacco. I know.
You both love Flacco.
I don't know if he loves Flacco as much as I do. I just think
Steve has drafted him. He might be on the Flacco train too, man.
Oh, he could jump aboard. There's plenty of room, buddy. That's it, man.
Oh,
All
let's
right.
go.
All right. You know what? We're gonna. You know what? Ooh, let's see what you do here. All right. So to give everybody some, to brief them, I guess, what's going on. I did take a quarterback here with the second to last pick in the third round. I took Jared Goff. And now Ernie comes up. He takes Drake London. That's his first skill position player as he went with Pat Mahomes and Bo Nix. Then he goes Trevor Lawrence. You win 3 QBs?
Yes, sir.
You're trying to okay. I don't know if you're trying to paint me in a corner, but that didn't work. I mean, I'm gonna roll the dice a little bit further. Wait for my second
No,
quarterback.
I'm not trying to paint you in a corner, man.
Well,
I think Trevor Lawrence could be awesome this year, dude. Like, I'm not in on the Travis Hunter hype, but he is a good football player. And like, you're just adding him to Brian Thomas and Liam Cohen. And I watched what he did with Baker Mayfield last year. You know, I love Trevor Lawrence. I'm just going for, the overpower. Like, if I have the best quarterbacks or I have like a lot of points for my quarterbacks every week, feel good about my lineup.
So I didn't think this was their bye week, but I wanted to double check so I didn't look like a moron. Steve said that he does like he likes Flacco for 6 weeks. I thought he said week 6. For 6 weeks. Yeah, all right. Brown's schedule, what is it? They start off versus Cincinnati, at Baltimore, versus Green Bay, at Detroit, versus Minnesota, and then at Pittsburgh. Yeah, I mean, I think you could kind of rely on that. And all jokes aside, I keep taking Joe Flacco, but he's my third quarterback. But yeah. I usually have good enough quarterbacks where I'm not telling myself I've got to rely on Joe Flacco from wire to wire.
No, I think he's a good QB3, dude.
Jamie comes in and says Browns are only winning 2 games. Yeah. I don't know. I'll take that pizza bet with you, Jamie, if you want, because the defense.
How about bottom 3 team? You do bottom 3? That's a more fair bet.
Yeah, stop giving him ammo, man.
Jamie, I'll give you ammo. Take Giants, bottom 3 team in the NFL. That's a lot, my friend.
That's a given. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I have enough faith in the Browns defense, and I have enough faith in Kevin Stefanski. I get it.
I don't think Flacco's bad though, man. Like when Flacco plays, like even the Colts last year, they were competitive with Flacco. Like I don't know. We'll see what they do, man. But if they start losing, then he's gonna get benched halfway through the year.
Well, you could do a lot worse, I think is the point. I think that's the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see this. Let me see if I can. I'm going to pull this down for a hot second and see if I can share another screen here. So, see if this works. There you go. That's better. Let's, is that sharing now? Am I good? It's there. Add to the stage and voila. Okay. Good to go. All right. Sorry about that. But yeah, all right. So it's coming back to me. I've only got 1 quarterback so far. The quarterbacks we're looking at here at this point, which now it's time to, stop mucking around and take a quarterback. I will say normally I would go with a Geno Smith here. I've actually painted myself in a bit of a bad corner here because Geno Smith has the same my current quarterback, Jared Goff, has the same bye week as the other players I would take. So let's just be a little more reckless. Give it to you. If you want to take a 4th quarterback, go ahead. I'm going to take George Kittle.
I'm thinking about the 4th QB.
And listen, the title of this video is, can this wild superflex draft strategy work? Can I actually win? So we'll see what my lineup looks like at the end.
Damn, I would have went 4 QBs then just for the title. I didn't know that. Yeah. I was starting to read about like best ball angles and stuff, and there's like one I thought was really interesting. Sure. And it was like Steve was like talking about this earlier in the year, and I was kind of like looking into like why would somebody do this? Mm-hmm. Gilbert Arenas or whatever, he's doing all these best ball drafts, and he's taking like 4 quarterbacks his first 4 picks. And it's the big guns like Daniels, Allen, Lamar.
Sure.
And if you think about it, if he gets it's almost like from those 4, you're guaranteed like a 30-point week every week. You know what I mean? Because it's like you're basically going to get the one that goes off that week, right?
Yeah, but aren't you a little worried about what the rest of it looks like?
Well, that's the thing where it's like you have to hit on these like so how it looks is quarterback heavy,
Sure.
then they hit wide receiver. Because I agree with this because I always have been a running back whore, but with this like logic, like you're gonna get more spike weeks from wide receivers. So in best ball, it almost makes more sense to hit them a little heavier. And then for like you, it's almost like zero RB. And you're hoping to get like, 2 or 3 running backs that could get you by while your quarterbacks and receivers overpower, like overproduce, right?
Sure.
And then your tight end, they give you, just serviceable numbers. That's kind of, and it's just interesting because it's like if you think about it, it's like that could kind of work. You know what I mean? But again, it
I don't
feels
know.
like you got to hit right on everything. Like you all
Yeah,
like
yeah.
your
That's
running backs have to be perfect if you're going with 3 or 4 running backs. You have to
right.
have
And
draft 4 studs.
not only do that be perfect, you probably have to roll into a back that a lot of people didn't expect to be what he is in that given season.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'll give it a go. I mean, I do enough of these. I think I'm almost at 50 best ball drafts, so maybe I give it a go one time and see what happens. But anyway, the draft is on the roll. I did take Aaron Rodgers as my second quarterback. Jamie did follow up his whole Browns are only winning 2 games this year by saying he already bet Browns, Giants, Saints to finish last in their division.
He's a smart kid.
I know I don't hate that call, Jamie. Just the only thing I'd say to you is I don't think the Browns need to only win 2 games to lose that division. That's all I'd say. I still think the Browns win more than 2 games, but they lose. But they'll probably be last in the division potentially. I mean, probably something's got to go wrong with the Steelers because I have
Yeah.
enough faith in the Ravens and the Bengals, even though the Bengals
Hundred
notoriously start
percent.
off
I,
slow.
I I I would go as far as saying like I would almost guarantee the Ravens or the Bengals win that division. Like,
Sure.
and because you look at it, it was kind of interesting. You look at the Bengals last year; all their losses were like by a score. They didn't really have the defense, but every time they played the Bengals, they played the Ravens.
Yeah.
It was a 3-point game, dude. You know what I mean? And they were their
Mhm.
first 2 picks. They went offensive. I'm sorry, defensive side of the ball, and then they went offensive lineman round 3. So I like Cincy this year. I think they're going to be tough, but yeah, you got to. I think Baltimore's the favorite. You have to favor them right now. All right.
Oh, Steve said my flight was canceled to Jersey. The rain's on the way, man. They already called the Met game. Clouds are getting gray out here. Flight was canceled to Jersey. Might do a best bowl later if you guys are down.
Bro,
You
that
got
was
our number,
actually.
man.
Oh,
Let me know.
dude, wait, is Steve all right? He said he was coming back to
No, no,
Jersey. My bad. I
no,
was
no.
just joking.
No. His flight was canceled. There's
Steve, we're
some
doing a
crappy
best ball
weather here.
draft in later. Tell him let's go.
That's what he just said. Are you not listening to me,
I
Henry?
was no, I wasn't. I'm sorry. I was drafting. I was trying not to auto.
He literally said what you just said. My flight was canceled to Jersey. Might do a best ball draft later if you guys are down.
I'm down.
So
Let's do it. Let's run it back.
Very good.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I'm fired up with my last 2 picks. I got 2 of my guys this year.
Talk about it. What do you got?
2 guys I'm big on. I'm in on heavy this year. One is Calvin Ridley. I love Calvin Ridley this year. I just think he could be this year's Terry McLaurin or something like that. Last year Tennessee didn't really have any good quarterbacks. And the only thing that kind of scares me about Ridley's profile is, and again, we should, when you're playing fantasy, you should keep an eye on these things. It's like, dude, he's 30 years old. So he's getting older, and the analytics tell you that the fall off will be in the near future, right? But I do like Ridley this year because Cam Ward, I think, is legit. Huge arm, quick release. And they only have day 3 rookies around Ridley. Not saying, Elite Ayuman Manor can't be a stud because I like him. I just think year 1, Cam Ward's already been talking up Calvin Ridley. I think he's going to want to show off. They're in a soft division, man. Like there's going to be a lot of ugly back and forth games. I don't think they're going to have a great record. So a lot of favorable game
NFC South are soft.
Yeah, dude. They're going against Colts defense, soft. Texans defense. They have what's his name? All pro corner. Their defense is The Texans definitely have the best defense in that league, but it's
in that
exploitable. We
division.
saw it
Yes.
last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, not the
Yeah.
league, in that division.
You're good.
Yes. And then other team is who is it? Colts, Texans,
Jags.
Jags. Yeah, dude, that's
Which
what I'm
you're all
saying.
hot and
So it's
bothered about your boy Trevor Lawrence. You're all, you know.
yeah. Oh, dude, that's another one. Dude, I just think every time they play each other, it's just a 30 point ugly game. So
No, I listen. I don't have a ton of shares of Trevor Lawrence, but I do think with Liam Cohen there, I do think that
yes.
there is an opportunity for there to
Yes.
be solid fantasy production, especially when you talk about so many people talk about waiting on the quarterback position, just like people wait on tight ends sometimes. I mean, so listen, if you're confident in what Liam Cohen was able to do with Baker Mayfield last year, and if you think that could translate over to Trevor Lawrence, who listen, you know back when he was coming out of the draft, people loved him. So Trevor Lawrence for you. What are you expecting? Give
Sure.
me, give me sort of a because we're talking about fantasy here.
Sure.
How many games do you think he can give you of say 20 fantasy points? If you had to give me an idea, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for some boom weeks back here.
I mean, dude, here's the thing. You're on the clock, by the way, just so you
I
don't
know.
get it.
I'm working on it. There we go.
All right, hold on. Let me make my picks and then I'll dive into that.
Oh, sure. Well, so people know. You know what? I'll give a quick layout of my team. I do have only two quarterbacks right now: Jared Goff, Aaron Rodgers. Running backs: Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery. Wide receivers are the heavy hitters, in my humble opinion: C.D. Lamb, Malik Neighbors, Devonta Smith, Jacoby Myers, and I did get George Kittle as my tight end. And just because I don't want to, where are we? I don't want to F around and find out. Death taxes. Michael takes Joe Flacco as his third quarterback. So there you go. Now, I will say, though, as opposed to earlier when I was like, yeah, I usually have good enough quarterbacks. I'm going to need Aaron Rodgers to pick up the pace there and not look like a slob. Because if I got Aaron Rodgers who's throwing up on himself and Joe Flacco, who, like Steve said, like, just give me 6 weeks, like if that's it for him,
Yeah.
that's going to put me in a rough
I,
spot. But
so
I'll roll the dice.
answering your question,
Sure.
I I think it's fair to say, and would you agree with this? Trevor Lawrence is in the best situation he's ever been in his career so far this year. Coach,
Uh,
offensive line, weapons.
You could definitely make the case for it based on offensive coordinator. I think offensive coordinator. I mean, people were excited about Doug Peterson too.
Sure. Yeah.
But
I
I
do.
think when you see what Baker Mayfield did with Cohen,
Yeah.
yeah, no, all right. You know what? I'll buy that. I'll buy that. Go on.
And yeah, dude, I just think that, he was the number one overall pick for a reason. And sometimes, these players, and we kind of just saw with Sam Darnold last year, they just haven't been in the right situation yet, and
Right.
it's not like Trevor Lawrence has been terrible. He just hasn't been like what we have expected him to be. And now I kind of think that the stars are aligning where you're getting it looks like the awesome offensive play caller. Like, this guy and Baker Mayfield look electric last year. And you have Brian Thomas, who we all know is already a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. That's like without argument. And now you have Travis Hunter, who kid's a stud. The only thing is like, will he be a fantasy rock star? I don't know, man. I don't know
Yeah.
how much they're gonna play him. Because these guys are human beings, man. So he's not playing 100 snaps on offense and 100 snaps on defense. If he does that, dude, he's not real. Like that's insane to me. But yeah, I just think the more likelihood of him is, maybe doing 50-50. Again, we'll see how they divvy it up, but when he does play offense, man, like he's going to be a factor. He's a very good route runner. He is electric. So this is all gearing up towards Trevor taking another step, man. And they have ETN and Bigsby who are okay. They added
Sure.
Tootin, who, looks like a home run hitter if he could just solve his fumbling issue. So yeah, there's a lot to like about him. I don't know how many 20-point weeks, man. That's actually kind of a tough question.
Well, you know what?
I
I'll do
would
it this way.
say I could give you
I'll,
stats, what I
I'll,
think.
I'll, I'll do it this way. Why don't you give me an idea of where you think he finishes amongst the quarterbacks this year? That's probably easier.
Top 10.
Top 10. Okay.
I think Trevor Lawrence finishes top 10 this year. I do.
Okay. I got to take a player. Pete's going to throw up in his mouth as I take Javonte Williams as my third running back.
Oh my God, I threw up too, dude.
Well,
oh my God.
You guys can throw up together. It's like that Family Guy scene when they all keep throwing up.
That is
Steve D'Angelo
disgusting.
said, I appreciate that kindness. Steve said, Mike, I like Neighbors, wide receiver 3. Neighbors makes a cut. Defenders is just 20 yards away. Check the 2 Dallas games last year. Yes. Yeah. Steve is alluding to if you go on X at the FF Realist. I've been trying to put out some of my rankings. I'm going to put some video content out there soon. But yeah, so I do have Neighbors as my wide receiver 3. CD Lamb as my wide receiver 4, which actually is funny because I took CD Lamb first in this draft and then Neighbors afterwards. But, snip, snap, snip, snap, off a step.
Well, you know what it is? Because your gut, this is what it is. You're not wrong about the talent. Like Neighbors is going to be.
It's also I'm on a 20-second goddamn clock. So
nah, dude. I don't think Neighbors is like I've been seeing a lot of like wide receiver 1 takes, and I do think without question he is the next Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. I'm just talking about this year and the circumstances of this year. He has Russell Wilson throwing him the ball, brother. Like, God bless you guys. Like, I'm not banking on, Russell Wilson.
All right. That's I'm not running around.
You get what I'm saying? I just think
I'm not running around the front yard here waving Russell Wilson pom-poms and, going streaking through the quad. But I'm just saying, wouldn't you agree, though, at least Neighbors' quarterback situation this year is better than last year? And that's not to say that it's a ringing endorsement. That's not to say that it's some kind of wonderful. It's still very unappetizing. You'd still want more for the guy. But wouldn't you say the quarterback position's better this year for Neighbors than it was in his rookie year?
Hold on. Let me just see something just so we can
go ahead.
Take a note of this. No, just so we can take a note of this because it'll be interesting. Yeah. I want to compare the first 4 weeks. So Neighbors' first 4 weeks with Daniel Jones, right?
I forget what week he went out with that concussion, though. That might be week 4 or week 5. That was
it was after. Yeah, no, I got it. He was. Yeah, he wasn't there for Seattle, so we got.
But that was late in the game, though. That was late in the game.
Yeah, first 4 weeks. It was versus Dallas because he was starting to cook him at the end. He was going off.
Well, that concussion came on Thursday night against Seattle. That
was he that?
Yep.
Okay, you might be right. And
I am right. I'm sorry to be smug.
Just because I remember, they don't have any snaps. They don't have any snaps logged for the Seattle game. That's what I'm saying. I thought it was Dallas.
Jamie, good question, Jamie. We'll get to that in a second. But go ahead, Ernie. Go ahead. What do you got?
No. They were just saying. You could be right. I'm just saying for the app, it's not showing that he had any snaps versus Seattle. That's what I was getting at. But with Daniel Jones, Malik Neighbors was averaging 21 fantasy points per game. So, listen, could he be QB proof? Again, people could hate me for this take. I don't care. I don't think Russell Wilson is an upgrade over Daniel Jones. I think the Giants are terrible. I think their offensive line is horrible. I think it's all contingent on Andrew Thomas. So if Andrew Thomas plays, then I like Malik Neighbors a lot more because Russell Wilson should be able to be serviceable. But again, like I watched Russell Wilson play with good teams and he just hasn't been good. So again, I think Malik Neighbors is a freak. So he could be. I'm just more on the. I don't think he's going to be, wide receiver 1 this year. I think he'll be closer to wide receiver 10. I think the explosion will be next year when the Giants inevitably draft one of these blue chip quarterbacks because the new regime's going to draft. If they're as bad as we think they're going to be, Mike, they're going to have a new GM and a new coach. So they're going to draft their guy.
Yeah, that's fun. You could speak on all that. I'm just going to simply tell you, I think you and I are going to have a pizza bet at some point.
I would love a pizza bet,
because closer to a wide receiver 10, I'm not buying that. The one thing I'll say,
oh my God, you left me Trey Harris. I'm going to buy you a pizza for free. I love you for that. Thank you.
Do it. Thin crust. The only thing I'll say in terms of Russell Wilson, I understand your take on Daniel Jones being better, and I don't hate it, but I also think you need to remember that Russell Wilson is more inclined to throw to the sideline. That's more his game, and I think that bodes well for what he's going to need to do. in that offense with Neighbors. So I think that bodes well there in that particular situation. I get it. It's not a vast upgrade. And some people like you, they could even say, I don't think he's better. But whatever. So I do want to get back to Jamie here, though.
Dude, but favorable game script, too, because they're going to be down every game. You just need the Giants' offensive line to be decent. And Russell should, like, here's the other thing you have for you, too. Like, Russell Wilson has been glazing the league Neighbors. Like, I've seen some of the clips in the interviews. So he's going to pepper him, dude. So
he's going to pepper him.
So it's all that.
He's a guy on the twilight of his career that knows if he comes out and if he sucks, he knows this is it. This is the proverbial last dance for Russell Wilson. So yeah, he's gonna see the most talented goddamn guy in the locker room. He's gonna feed the ball.
Wait, you just said that perfectly. So I want to ask you a question. Are you in on the Russell Wilson last dance?
No.
Okay.
But I do think he will do enough for Neighbors to be a top wide receiver. I think that I think he's one and done here.
You're hoping he's Jameis Winston. You're hoping he basically comes in, they're gonna lose all these games, but he's just gonna like Cedric Tillman and Jerry Jeudy. They just look like insane. Gotcha.
I mean, we already established. We've talked on the show about this. I could pull up the Giants' schedule for the umpteenth time.
We know it's 1-7. So start after week 9 because that includes their bye.
Brutal. And listen, look, Steve gets it. Says Mike, very sensible. There you go. Look at that. I do want to get back to Jamie because Jamie did ask if Lawrence is going to be top 10, and we all know McCarthy and Fields will be top 10. So who are the other 7 QBs
we
in the
all
top
know
10?
McCarthy and Fields will be top 10. I mean, I would say Trevor, McCarthy, and Fields are more of there's like a tier where
probably a question more so for you since you said Lawrence is going to be top 10.
Yeah, no, that's
what
I'm saying. I'll answer that, but like I'm saying, like I would put those guys like Trevor Lawrence, McCarthy, and Fields in a tier where like they're breakout guys. I wouldn't say any of them right now are top 10. Like, I can't say Trevor Lawrence is a top 10 fantasy. I'm just
you're saying
guess based off.
You're saying he has a potential to.
Yes,
and so is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. No, because 100%. And it's like the same thing with JJ McCarthy, who I'm not in on, but like even with Pete's video today for the top 10 picks, like. I like his take on McCarthy over Mahomes only because where you have to take Mahomes in drafts, and we saw what Sam Darnold did with the Vikings offense. So in theory, why can't JJ McCarthy come in and give you a top 10 fantasy year, right? So there's all these like valid arguments for these guys. I just can't say any of them are top 10. Me saying Trevor Lawrence is top 10 is more of me just making a bold take. But top 7, that's you got Josh Allen, Lamar. You got your big 2, and then you got Jaden and Burrow, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7. Oh, hold on, I'm on the board here.
You are on the board, yeah.
My boy Pat Bryant.
All right, I will just really quick. I'll just tell everybody my top 12 quarterbacks in redraft right now: Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield. I do go Justin Fields at 7. I'm buying into the Kool-Aid a little bit, just a wee bit. I got my boy Bo Nix at 8. Pat Mahomes is at 9. Kyler Murray's at 10. Dak Prescott, who I think is going criminally late, even though I know quarterback's a deep position, he's at 11. And Brock Purdy is at 12.
I agree with your top 5. Jalen Hurts would be my 5.
The top 5 are easy. Let me see.
And then
am I on the clock?
And this is fantasy, right? We're just doing fantasy.
Oh, sure. I did get all drafted, and I got drafted Xavier Legette. So, excuse me while I throw up. I should just make the camera go off this.
The one.
There you go. I just threw up that fast. That's how fast that was. There you go.
Nah, the only thing I disagree with you on is I would put Bo over Fields. I'm going with Baker, Bo. So my top 7 would be Allen 1, Lamar 2, Burrow 3, Jaden Daniels 4, Hurts 5, Baker's. Oh, dude, I love Bo Nix this year, man.
So do I.
I'm gonna go Bo Nix at 6, and then I'm gonna go.
I believe
Baker at 7. That would be my top 7.
Okay. That's fine.
So we're very close.
Steve says, Ernie, you are right. Pat Bryant is different.
Steve, man, I got you, Steve. You're my boy, bro.
There you
I
go.
only give my friends good fantasy takes. No, I'm just
That's right.
kidding. They're
I
all
give them
terrible.
shitty takes because I want them to take the wrong player.
Mine
That's
are all.
it. That's why I keep about talk about Joe Flacco every day. Well, yeah, what do you think I'm doing? What do you think the agenda is? There you go.
That's so funny.
There you go. That's it.
Nah, dude, Pat Bryant, man, like honestly, really quick, dude. There's a lot to again. Third round rookie pick sleeper. So, the dream is Terry McLaurin, right? You always, but you got to manage expectations. But we've seen Sean Payton do this before. Like, he took Michael Thomas on day 2 about 10 years ago. And it's funny because sometimes you just got to listen to the coaches speak themselves. He was just like, Sean Payton came out and said, yeah, man, there's a lot of similarities to Michael Thomas. So that right there tells you that, okay, this guy has a vision and it's going to be his big X receiver. Now, will he? I'm not saying he's going to be Michael Thomas, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I will say is this is a very underrated receiver from the Big Ten. I watched him destroy Big Ten defenses. The only defect in his game is, if you want to call it, is he's kind of slower. He runs like, I think it's like a high 4.5, right? But this is a guy that's like, he is like Michael Thomas. Like he's just gonna, win on the slant game, and he has a big catch radius. He's like, dude, you watch him. He's just
Sure.
different in the sense, like, dude, it's all hand catches. He doesn't body catch anything, dude. So I could see why
Mm.
Sean Payton loves him. Again, could this guy be Traquan Smith? Sure. I just know that I saw Sutton drop that pass in the Buffalo game, and it's like I think it just has stewed with Sean Payton. And again, Sutton's going to be 30 years old. I think,
Sutton's gonna be 30 already.
yeah,
Jesus, I'm
dude,
getting
he's
old.
older. He's up there, man.
All
He's
right, all
up
right,
there.
all right.
And no, I just think this kid could be in for a bigger role than we think. Certainly, the opportunity is there. So yeah, man, that's kind of what I'm buying there. Hold on one second as I
You're
pick.
on the clock. I will
Yeah.
give you just a fun little. Actually, I'll wait till after I pick because last time I did that, I got I got auto picked. So let's not do that again. You know what? I'm gonna rectify my wrong, and this is actually a shout out to Risers and Fallers on Player Profiler with our very own Pete Nova and Chuck Bass. I'm gonna go ahead and take a little Jalen Coker action. I'm gonna dip in the Coke. So there you go. It's a little shout out to those boys. Did take my guy Kareem Hunt the round before that. Just
Dude,
you brought up Michael Thomas. It was an interesting stat when I was pulling this up today with my wide receiver rankings. So Amon-Ra St. Brown caught 81.6% of his 141 targets. That was the highest of any I'm sorry, that was the highest of any player with 100 or more targets since 2018. That player before was Michael Thomas, who caught 85% of his targets.
wow.
So just speaks to a little bit of the reliability. But yeah, 2018, Hunter Renfrow sneaks in there at some point, and he's a little close to Amon-Ra, but not 81.6. I do have another disgusting stats. Jesus, get your words out. Chosen one, Robbie Anderson, right? Remember him?
Yeah. Yeah.
He is, where is this stat? The stat's gross. In 2021, he was targeted 110 times. He only caught 48.2% of his passes. How's that happen? How do you get that many targets and your catch percentage is that low? What are we doing? That's so whatever. Anyway, I digress. We will give you guys the breakdown of our rosters here. We are headed into round 19. Last pick of the 18th round just happened. That was Adonai Mitchell. We're now headed into the 19th. So rounding third, headed for home. You know, let's see what I'm going to go with here. But Ernie, how you feeling about your team right now?
I actually like it, man. I kind of do I that that theory I was kind of like talking about before. I don't obviously do that full strength, but I actually kind of like agree with parts of it. So I went kind of like a zero RB. I'm really pleased with how it's turning up. Again, I'm banking on some guys. Like I'm buying low low on some players, and I'm thinking they're going to have bigger years than for where they're going for their ADP. But if all things pan out, then yeah, I'm feeling really good because I got all the receivers I like, tight ends I like, quarterbacks I feel really strong. And then
Now,
go ahead.
something that's interesting that came up. They were talking about, are you drafting Darren Waller as the Dolphins tight end? Is Waller worth picking up in Dynasty? And I was going to say, to kind of segue into that conversation, I was going to go ahead and pick him up here in best ball, but he was already selected. He was already taken. So somebody's buying into him. Well, let's do this really quick. Darren Waller, don't call it a comeback. He's been here for years, except for the 1 year that he took off to be a rap artist, and we saw how that went because now he's back with the Miami Dolphins. Make your last pick here, and then give me your perspective on Darren Waller in terms of fantasy. Is he a best ball candidate? Is he a redraft candidate? Is he a dynasty candidate? All the above. What says you?
Oh, dude, it's so tough. But the one thing I will say is this, and again, I try to be as unbiased as I can be. I saw one thing that I really liked that I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the Dolphins tight ends coach that they have right now was the tight ends coach in Oakland from 2018 to
That's
2020.
that's what Pete's got right here. Frank
Yeah.
Smith is the
Yeah.
Miami
Yeah.
OC since
Yeah.
2022 was with Waller. Yep,
Yes.
there you go.
Appreciate that, PD. Yeah. So Frank Smith. That's the thing, man. So this guy's probably advocating for him for a little bit. Again, they did give a pick for him. It's not like they didn't give. It was a 6th-round pick, but um, yeah, no, I think that's I saw it on Twitter, but he was probably right. It's probably
Yeah,
Andrew Erickson.
probably.
So shout out to him. But no, dude, that makes me like it a little bit more, like again, do I think this guy could be a little bit of a psychopath and like went off and was like a rapper, right? I mean, we've seen that with Rogers, and we're still not, I kind
I
of
don't know
agree
if
with you
it's
on
I wouldn't even say psychopath. It's just like borderline midlife crisis. He decided to become a
obviously
rapper, divorce his wife, and now he's coming back. Yeah.
I'm obviously exaggerating, but yeah, just retiring from the NFL to be a rapper, obviously is going to open some eyes, but again, he's 32. I think what his biggest con was that he's an injury prone player, but again, man, they have nobody. Like
Yeah,
they have no tight end. The only other tight end was like I think was like an undrafted guy. So it's like, you know, he's going to be the starting tight end this year from what it looks like. So yeah, man. I mean, if it's a tight end premium league or you're in the end of best ball and your tight end room sucks and you're looking for that Hail Mary, why
sure.
not? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
if he gets the volume John Smith was getting and Waller isn't cooked, so there is, there's a realm where that could
I
happen,
will
man.
listen. I'm in a. I've said it a couple times today on X. I'm in enough leagues where I'm going to punt the tight end in certain spots. So if I do, and if I'm streaming the position, I'll take a look at Darren Waller, Mike
Yeah.
McDaniel as his. And I know we mentioned the history there, but that too. Like I'll shoot my shot on that if I'm streaming the position. Who knows? And I will say, for you DFS players out there, if he comes out swinging in the first few weeks, I don't know if he comes out cold. Again, he didn't play last year, but I mean, that cost at tight end is going to be dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Dirt cheap. So, and if he produces the first few weeks, won't be dirt cheap anymore. But let's answer this last question. Then let's talk about our rosters. Then let's get the hell out of here. Dylan Surf wants to know, do you tear down Puka for Tet plus a 2027 first and second?
No. Pete's gonna hate
Yeah.
me for this, but no.
No.
Absolutely
Uh-oh.
not. I wouldn't.
Do tell, girlfriend. What do you
Oh,
got?
I think Puka's a monster. I think Puka is
So do
a
I.
freak. I think this year, like Pete, another one of Pete's takes that I liked was that like Devontae Adams could have a bigger year than Puka this year, which like that could happen because like
Pete
um
did come in and say no.
no to
So
what?
keep Puka.
Yes. Oh, okay.
So he's
No,
not
I
killing
just
you.
know.
He's keep pooping.
Yeah, no, I was only teasing. I mean, because I know Pete loves Tet, but yeah, no, dude, I think like Puka's PFF grades, like everything about Puka, he's tied to McVay, man. I love him, especially dynasty wise. I think he's
Sure.
he's a lock for a top 10 receiver finish every year. With the upside to be an elite player every year. So I definitely would keep Puka.
All right. Let's read off these rosters. Then let's get the hell out of here because we do have, by the way, again, I mentioned it earlier in the show. It's not going to be live, but we got some guys coming on after this, going to do some pre-recorded content. So that's why I'm telling you, subscribe to this channel because once that goes up, you can then watch it. You can then absorb it. You can get ahead of all of your league mates and shove their face in it later. So definitely do that. But all right, I'll read off my roster here since I picked 11, you picked 12. Let me know if this strategy worked for you.
Sure.
Since it's, can this wild superflex draft strategy actually win? And by the way, feel free if you're watching to fire it into the comments. Roast me, agree with me, have a good time. I took 3 quarterbacks, 7 running backs, 8 wide receivers, only 2 tight ends. Don't love that I only took 2 tight ends, but I have faith in the 2. Quarterbacks, Jared Goff, Aaron Rodgers, and Mr. Joe Flacco. Running backs are Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery, Javonte Williams, Isaac Arendo, just in case of emergency. I did take Nick Chubb. I always take Kareem Hunt too. I like Kareem Hunt, especially in best ball. I'm not a huge believer in Pacheco this year. And then I went with Devin Neal. I don't know what we're going to get out of Devin Neal. That's kind of a wild card there. Wide receivers, CD Lamb, Malik Neighbors, Devonta Smith, Jacoby Myers, Cooper Kupp. Did get auto-drafted Xavier Legette, which I wasn't thrilled about. So I totally redeemed myself by taking Jalen Coker after that. And then Isavas over there with the Cincinnati Bengals as my last wide receiver. Tight ends, George Kittle, and then Isaiah Likely. I will say in my pick of Isaiah Likely, don't get that misconstrued. I think the hate's gone too far on Mark Andrews. But again, in a best ball format, when he's my second tight end, I'll take him and I'll look for a boom week. That's fine.
Sure.
So that's my roster picking from the 11th spot. Ernie, did it work? Did I screw up? What do you think?
No, I think the more let me find your team. No, I like
Just
your
read it.
first 2 quarterbacks. You got Flacco as the third. Should have handcuffed with Kenny Pickett. No, I'm just kidding.
I will end this stream right now.
No, I like because again, I'm a big believer on I love Lamar, but I believe he likes throwing to his tight ends way more than he does his receivers. So
Sure.
I love Likely as your tight end too. You kind of sold me on Kittle. I'm not gonna lie. I was actually looking at his numbers and they were way better than what I thought. He was kind of went on an insanity run last year, which was pretty cool. So everybody's arguing about who's going to be Purdy's number 1. It could be Kittle. Just that could be Kittle is go to. He could feel. I mean, bro, we watched it with Patrick Mahomes. Sometimes it's just he's the guy.
Could be Steve's boy, Jawan Jennings, too. Who's my boy, but he was Steve's boy before he was my boy. So I got to give proper credit there.
I'm going to give Steve his props because I haven't been drafting any of them. Honestly, just too murky for me. But I'm in on, I think
Kyle Shanahan offense is too murky for you?
Yeah, dude. I mean, Purcell's good. Jennings is good. Ayuk's a monster. I will say this.
Here in best ball, you're only relying on a few couple weeks,
I guess, man. But yeah, no, if I was going to take one, dude, I would take Jennings. I'm going to give Steve his props. I think Jennings is the number 1 finishes with the most fantasy production there from all the reports and everything. Yeah, that's it looks like Purdy's go-to guy right now. So we'll see. Again, that could all change. It's all a guessing game because I like all 3 of the receivers they have. I actually probably should be in on Purdy more than I am, but that's where I'm at with it. I like Juwan as the X receiver there to get the most volume. But I know you're loving that as a Niners fan.
I'll take it. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I mean, dude, they're a lock. I think they're a lock for the playoffs this year, without a doubt.
So do I. It's just a matter of whether, which, by the way, we're going to end up doing a stream at some point where we're going to pick some division winners.
Love that.
I don't know if I could go ahead and say division winner yet because I still believe in the Rams as well. I want to not be too biased.
Right. Agreed.
You know,
because I picked the Rams and I'm high on the Niners.
Yeah.
I'm hot. No, I'm hot, dude. I'm high on the. I loved, bro. The Niners' first two picks. What was it? Who was they? The first one they went defensive end from Georgia. What the hell's his name? I can't remember his name right now.
I gotta
Stud.
Pull it up.
Michael Williams. That's who it was. I love him. And then they took Alfred Collins, underrated.
Alfred Collins out of Texas is a big one.
That was bro. A nice one. I feel like San Francisco. There was teams this year. I feel like the Eagles hurt some teams.
All their picks after that was a little weird value wise, but those two picks were good.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, well, I like Nick Martin, a 3rd round pick, but I get why some people were like, yeah, you didn't have to do that there. But,
you can't hate that pick just because of the way the Niners have drafted linebackers. So it's like, dude, like you have a pretty set linebacker room. I mean, they did lose Greenlaw, you know, and I think they draft linebackers very well. Like as a fan, I'm actually kind of on the opposite side. I would be excited because they probably see something in this kid. You know,
I actually, truth be told, I think Nick Martin is going to have the best year of all the defensive rookies for San Francisco.
I could see, dude. I mean, again, who you have? Fred Warner, and then who are your other linebackers right now? Because Greenlaw's gone. So
yeah, it's kind of it's not. There's not much going on there. That's why he has the best opportunity.
I love it. Then all right, but yeah, dude, I just feel like they drafted hurt, dude. Like drafting 2 behemoths to add to your defensive line. So yeah, Niners are going to be back, but no, I agree with your take. You got to tread carefully.
You get the D Winters. I mean, I like D Winters, but it's not, you know, whatever.
Winters is solid, but I would take the upside of Martin. Yeah.
But whatever. All right, read off your roster.
Sure. But yeah, no, dude, looking at your team, I like the balance of your team. 3 quarterbacks, then you went 7 running back, 8 receiver. Very balanced. And then
personally would have liked to take a 3rd tight end, even though I have Kittle. But I can live with that. I could ride with that.
Yeah, you're right, man. Like if you would have went like with a Tucker Kraft, then I think you get away with 2 tight ends. Because like likely you're bouncing more, you're banking more off of spike weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I get that. But still, man, from what I've been reading too, I think you're good with like 2 tight ends. You know, you just want your tight ends to give you just something, you know, right? While the rest of your team is like what's pumping out the numbers. So I actually like the makeup of your team. I went 0 RB again. You said we're doing crazy drafts, right? Or what's the theme?
So, it was, can this wild super flex draft strategy actually
wild? I went wild 0 RB. So I went 3 quarterback, 4 running back, 10 wide receiver, 3 tight end.
Oh shit! Okay, go ahead. Let's have it.
So I got Patrick Mahomes, Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence. Where if I think all 3 could finish top 10.
Yep.
I'm just hoping that between all 3, I like that their buys are on different weeks. So pretty much for majority of the year, I got 3 shots at the basket for one of them to.
Dolphins are a shit show.
They are, dude.
Yeah. Apparently they are a shit show. Yeah.
They are. They definitely are a shit show. They're fantasy friendly though. There's teams that are shit shows, but they're fantasy friendly.
They're fantasy friendly as long as Tua's got a pulse.
Yes.
As long as he's got a pulse, we're good to go. But all right.
Dude.
So we got your quarterbacks.
And then
these 4 running backs.
Yeah, I think all 3 of my quarterbacks, like if I think they could be top 10 guys. And then my running backs, I went Amari and Hampton, who I think everybody is just sleeping on this kid. Do not be afraid of Najee Harris. I like Najee Harris. He's a good football player. Solid football player. He's more of an insurance play. Hampton is real, dude. He reminds me so much of Nick Chubb. I loved watching him this year. I watched him eviscerate Appalachian State, man. Like I don't know. I love it. What's up?
I'm just enjoying the pushback here. I'm getting in my wheelhouse. I would just say there's a difference between like not worrying about Najee Harris, as you said, but like don't forget about him either.
No.
Just because Omarion went off on Appalachian State. I mean, I could tell you a lot of college players.
It's not that.
If you give me the time to do the homework, I can tell you players that ripped apart Appalachian State who didn't.
Bro, it was just a memorable game because it was a high scoring game. All I'm saying is yes, I agree with you. Najee will be factored in. I am just saying,
That's
dude,
all I'm getting
Amari and
at. Yeah,
Hampton, they drafted him in the first round. We know Harborough has been gearing up to just play smash mouth football. And dude, I just think even if it's a 50-50 split early on,
sure.
Omarion Hampton is going to run away with this job. Because if
Yeah,
you're a Chargers fan or just a football fan, you're going to be watching the Chargers, and it's going to be like Najee Harris and Jalen Warren last year when everybody's like, why does Jalen Warren not get more? It's going to be the same thing. Like this kid is, again, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll wear it. I'm an Omarion Hampton fan. I was excited about this landing spot. I love Harborough, man. It's a shame, dude, because I think the AFC West is insane. I love
it
all
is.
four teams, man, and what they're
Yeah.
doing. So it's hard to like go again, but dude, I love him. So yeah, I'm in on Hampton. He's gonna be. I'm hoping if
So that
I'm
was
if
your
I'm correct, this is my RB1 anchor. I'm hoping I'm
first of
getting.
four.
Yes. Then
Okay.
I went Jordan Mason, who I love. Again, I
Mhm.
think these guys are undervalued. I think Jordan Mason is going to get like that split with Jones. I
Yeah.
like Aaron Jones. But I think
Yeah.
it's going to be more of a 50-50 split, kind of like Gibbs Montgomery,
Sure.
where,
Yeah, I can see that.
Mason's going to get all the goal line work. And we know with O'Connell and dude, they made it, their offensive line is like a fortress. Like they invested so much in the offensive line. Like, so they're going to have, I would say a fantasy friendly team. I think they're like a 500 team, man. I think they're going to be respectable. I think they'll be tough. So a lot of high scoring games. So I like Mason this year, man. I think he's
Okay.
undervalued. I think it's easily going to be a 50-50 split with him getting, some really valuable touches on the goal line. Then I went with Trey Benson again. This is another one because James Conner is a beast. But I think that's another one where it's going to be more of a 50-50 split. And James Conner is pretty, he has a good injury prone history. So I like the offseason reports with Benson, man. I do
Sure.
like what the Cardinals have been doing. I could see him being a bigger factor this year too. So I'm going to kind of try to buy low on him. And then the other one is again, this is all contingent on Tua's health. But if Tua plays, I'm
The
very
Jalen
confident
Wright
in this
spot.
one. Yes, I
Okay.
think
Yep.
when the Dolphins looked the best when they were at their peak is when they were running the football with Mostert and A Chain, dude, and it looked awesome. Um, I think they're going to try to get back to that. I think that it was kind of it was a hard year for the man, with Tua, and it's kind of unfortunate, but
Sure.
we're hoping for the best. Hopefully we don't see another concussion, but
No,
if he
for real.
stays healthy, man, and everything's all going off on all cylinders, there needs to be a Robin to A Chain's Batman. And, because A Chain's not the biggest back, he's 180 pounds. So
No,
he's not a
that's
bell
true.
cow running back. They're going to need somebody else to, and I think that's Jalen Wright, man. And
Okay.
again, I watched him at Tennessee. I think he's a good player. And then this is where I went wide receiver heavy. I went Drake
Yeah, really. Let's
London.
hear 10 of them.
Yes, Drake London, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Calvin Ridley, Jalen Waddle, Trey Harris, Pat Bryant, Jalen Noel, Thornton, Roman Wilson, Alik Manor. I could do quick rundown for each. I think Drake London, you can make a good case for dark horse wide receiver one. I think his last three games with Penix was
Yeah.
awesome.
Sure.
So again,
Sure.
I'm just going based off of another division where you like
Actually,
going to be all shootouts, right?
yeah.
All
Yeah.
warm weather games are in a dome, and they
Actually,
have.
really quick, sorry, just
Go
to
ahead, go
plug
ahead.
some of our other content. Yesterday, Pete did a dynasty startup mock draft in which it was a super flex. So Michael Penix was my second quarterback, but I did take Drake London, so I proceeded to take Michael Penix
Hell
to
yeah.
go along with your point there as my second quarterback. But I'm sorry, proceed.
No, dude, you're good. You're good. Dude, yeah, I'm not in on Penix this year, but again, like he's another one. Like, there's a lot to like about him, like good PFF
Sure.
scores. I love all the game scripts they're gonna be in, man. So I just think who's the Darnell Mooney. Dude, he's a good player, but like so I know London is gonna be drenched with targets. So I really like him this
Sure.
year. Then I
Yeah.
went JSN. He's another one. I think he's underrated. I think you could see a top 10 receiver finish from him, man. Darnold favors a slot receiver. JSN, I think, led the league in slot receiver yards last year. You could stat
Mhm.
check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that was true. Calvin Ridley, again, I think Cam Ward's wide receiver one. Jalen Waddle, bold take. I could see Jalen Waddle outproducing Tyreek Hill this year. I can. I think he's healthy. I think he looks really good. Um, Again, Tyreek Hill is a absolute monster. I think he's older. I think he's kind of like his head's not in the game anymore. But we'll see.
All
But I
right.
really, really like Jalen Wild this year. Trey Harris, I think he's kind of being underrated. I think he's going to be Justin Herbert's X. So I think he's going to get good volume as a rookie. Then Pat Bryant, we already talked about him. Jalen
Yep.
Noel, I think he's going to be the Texans slot receiver. So I think he's the one that I know they took Higgins. So it's kind of hard when these teams double dip on the same positions really high, like with Musgrave and Kraft, right? But
Sure.
I think Noel actually is the better pick over Higgins, even though I do think Higgins is a good player because for his size, the way he runs route is really impressive.
Right.
But Jalen Noel, there's a room for him to be a starter because he's the slot receiver. So I think and Jalen Noel is a stud. Like, don't get me like this kid's a beast. And I think he's going to, there's an opportunity for him to be a starter from day one and get good volume. And again, so I'm getting him with pick 181. So any form of PPR, I like Jalen Noel, man, because you're just hoping that, he's the starting slot receiver and everything looks like it is. Then I went with Dante Thornton. Again, this is
Mhm.
like, I just like him as a deep threat because I think the Raiders are going to be down a lot this year. A lot of playing from behind. They're going to be probably high scoring games. So I think they'll be trying to air it out a little bit. But dude, there's like camp reports saying that like Thornton is better than Beck right now, which is shocking
I
because
actually, I actually heard that too. Yeah, I heard that too.
dude, that was shocker to me because I like Beck.
Yeah.
I really liked him throughout the draft process too. But we've seen weirder things happen, and they love him. So they're saying that he could be the starting X receiver. You heard me right. So if that's
Hmm.
true, like that's crazy value this late, man, because Geno Smith does have a good arm. And they're again, I love what the Raiders are doing, but unfortunately they're in the best division in football. So they're gonna come in last and they're gonna be down in a lot of games, which is awesome for fantasy though, because now all these receivers, they're gonna be constantly throwing the ball. So I like Dante Thornton. Then I went Roman Wilson. I think he's gonna be Rodgers' slot receiver this year.
Mhm.
I can't speak. I'm with you
Hmm.
on Rogers Hoff. I don't think he's done yet. I think it probably will be his last year, but I think for
This is well.
fantasy
This,
purposes,
I mean, he basically said so, but I just think
he'll be
I think
serviceable. I
there's a happy medium between what he did with the Jets coming back from the Achilles injury
yeah.
and what he did when he was back to back MVPs with the Packers. That's all. I just think
I
there's a
mean,
happy
dude,
medium there.
the Jets and the Giants are terrible. So it's kind of like these guys are kind of on like suicide missions anyway. So, but I'm with you. I think he's going to be serviceable. I think the Steelers have a decent roster. I did not like the Minka trade. Did you see that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
That was
Mhm.
that. I did not like that, but I do like their offensive setup. And then I went Alik Ayu Manor. Again, this is a deep sleeper pick, but I think he's going to be the Titans starting X receiver alongside Ridley.
Okay.
So hopefully, again, I thought he should have went day two. He fell to day three. Titans traded back up in the fourth round to get him. So I'm just hoping that he's a starter and hopefully, the talent kind of takes off and, he could be a boom. And then for tight end, I went three tight end. I went Evan Engram, who I love this year, Tyler Warren, who I also love this year. Um, and then I went Arondi Gadsden. So I
Okay.
went Evan Engram, I think could, have a monster season. That's my dark horse tight end one. Tyler Warren, I'm not saying he's going to be Brock Bowers, but I do think kind of like last year, people were like calming down with Brock Bowers before the year started because it was like who's throwing him the ball, right? And it's the same thing with the Colts this year because it's going to be Daniel Jones. I still think, man, like just the game scripts and everything, like there's going to be good volume for him, especially with Steichen. So I'm in on Tyler Warren too. I think both of them are locks for top 10 tight end finishes. That I have no problem I would take that to the bank. And then Gadsden, that's Herbert's. What it looks like, I know he's a 5th-round rookie, but he could be Herbert's starting receiving tight end this year. And
Okay.
with the last pick in the draft, if that does hit, I like the value. But yeah, that's the makeup of my team, man.
All right. Well, there you go. So that is our best ball draft. There will be more coming. There's also a lot more other content coming. I'm going to put out a video of some players you should be avoiding. We're going to have a video coming out tonight or tomorrow morning, pre-recorded style. We're going to have a whole bunch of stuff. We're ramping up. Now, listen, we're going to have some fun. We're going to light some fireworks, but we're going to be safe too. We don't want to be like blow it off part of our hand like a former Giants player, but we're going to have a good time, and we hope you guys have a good time too. Feel free to like this show, but listen, Ernie, anything to say before we ride off into the sunset?
Now I have a question. Before we ride off the sunset,
right.
I have a question for you. What
I
is
have
more
an answer,
insane?
maybe.
What is more insane is if you were a Giants fan?
Sure.
Jason Pierre-Paul shooting his hand off with the fireworks, or Plaxico Burress shooting himself when we're about to repeat. Yo, my God, dude. Dude, a fun fact for you on that 2008
I mean,
Giants team.
both are fucking amazingly horrific, but like...
Dude, only that shit would happen to me, man. I swear. But the 2008, why that one hurts?
You're talking to a Met fan, yeah.
Why? Yeah, why? New York, we're cursed, bro. New York's cursed.
Apparently,
the Giants. I think this is the only team in NFL history that beat for 2008. They beat both teams in the NFC and AFC championship game. That was their year, bro. And this dude shoots him. I'm with you. I think shooting yourself in a nightclub, like, why? Where are you going with a gun, bro? You're Plaxico Burress.
You're a nightclub, man. What are we doing? What do we need that for? You're all right.
Oh my God. Oh my God, dude.
But oh well. All right. Let's end it just like Plaxico should have ended it by not bringing the gun to the nightclub. But I'll just say this. Until next time, stay thirsty, be kind to one another, have the best 4th of July you possibly can, and then buckle up, Buttercups. Get ready for some fantasy football goodness.
Love it.
Talk to you next time. Cheers.